I love idioms and I know you do too. For this reason, I bring you more English idioms than you can shake a stick at. So knock yourself out.
English colour idioms. Idioms are expressions that are natural to native English speakers. They're very confusing for non-native English speakers. They're confusing because idioms don't mean what the words say. You cannot literally translate English idioms into another language. The origin of many English idioms is a grey area. This video marks a red letter day for all students of English. If you've been feeling blue because idioms have left you browned off, you'll be tickled pink by this video. Don't be yellow when it comes to learning English colour idioms. I'm giving you the green light to understand them. Video lessons like this come around once in a blue moon. I can tell you about English colour idioms until I'm blue in the face, but you have to make an effort to remember them. So get the grey matter going and watch the rest of this video. You will soon be able to do the extras with flying colours. Your friends will be green with envy. There are no red herrings in this video. It's black and white and should be red all over. Did you notice that I've used a lot of colour idioms already? Now I'm going to explain to you what they mean. The colours we're going to look at in this video are black, blue, brown, green, grey, red, silver, white, yellow. Let's start with black. If you're in the black, you have some money. If you're in the red, you owe money. Whether you're in the black or in the red, your bank will tell you in black and white. Black and white means written down and official. There are no grey areas when it comes to banking. Everything is black and white. Go to see your bank manager when you're in the red and he will give you a black look. This shows that he is angry with you. He probably thinks you're the black sheep of your family. A black sheep is a failure or disgrace. Sheep are normally white. Wool comes from sheep. A sheep that is black cannot produce good wool. A black sheep is not as valuable as a white sheep for a farmer. If you're a bit of a black sheep and you ask for a loan, the bank manager might blackball you. This means that he will vote against you and exclude you from his borrowers. He might even blacklist you. If you're blacklisted, you won't get a loan from anyone. Being blacklisted can make you blue. But banks want you to be in debt. As Publilius Cyrus said, debt is the slavery of the free. So banks blacklist people once in a blue moon. When there's a lot of dust in the atmosphere, the moon can look blue. This doesn't happen very often. Unlike the moon, the sky is often blue. Something that falls out of the sky arrives without any warning. A huge bill can come out of the blue. It can push you out of the black and into the red. A huge bill can leave you feeling blue, unless you're a toucan or a pelican. Toucans and pelicans have huge bills, but they seem happy enough with them. Some parrots are blue. Some parrots can talk. But you'll be blue in the face before you can get a parrot to recite Shakespeare. If you're blue in the face and you're not a parrot, you've reached the end of your patience. If you're a doctor, reaching the end of your patience would be something of a red letter day. Really important and notable days are marked in red on a calendar. Sometimes the doctor's patients are in pain. These patients can scream blue murder. The doctor has to be patient with these patients, even when they're making a lot of horrible noise and annoying everyone. Even so, the most patient of doctors can be browned off by too many impatient patients. When I was young, my brother joined the military. I wanted to be a soldier very much and was green with envy. So, even though I was young, my parents gave me the green light to join the Royal Air Force. I joined when I was 16. I was a green recruit, although my uniform was blue. New shoots on trees and plants are green, and I was young and inexperienced, like a new shoot. And because I was green, they taught me to shoot. Now I was a green soldier in a blue uniform, but I didn't have green fingers. Many people do have green fingers, but you won't notice them unless you go to their gardens. We've already agreed that plants are green. People who touch plants a lot end up with some of the green on their fingers. To have green fingers means that you are very good at gardening. Today I'm not green. I've grown up and I've gone from green to grey. I'm always confused whether to spell grey, grey or grey. For me, this is a grey area. Apparently my brain is grey too. I haven't looked for a while, so I can't be sure. What I can be sure about is that if I say use your grey matter, I mean use your brain. You must be tickled pink by these new idioms. I'm tickled pink that you're watching this video. Thank you very much. As well as being tickled pink, you can also be in the pink. I'm in the pink. I'm in perfect condition, even though I'm grey. I asked my wife, will you still love me when I'm old and grey? She said, of course I do. I thought that was a sweet thing to say. Of course I see the world through rose-coloured spectacles. At least I don't have to deal with a lot of red tape now that I'm an English teacher. I hate bureaucratic rules and regulations. When I was a policeman, all the red tape used to make me see red. I would rather be out catching criminals red-handed than dealing with the red tape. When you're caught committing a crime, we say you are caught red-handed. If you've committed a murder, you'll have blood on your hands. But most of the time the police don't catch criminals red-handed. Often you have to deal with a lot of red herrings before you can solve a crime. A red herring is a piece of misinformation. On Saturday nights the police have to deal with people painting the town red. Painting the town red means having a good time. From my experiences as a police officer, I think the origin of this idiom is simple. Drunken people fall over a lot, or get in fights, and often end up bleeding in the street. Anyone out painting the town red, who isn't bleeding, might nevertheless meet a few scarlet women. A scarlet woman is a sinful woman, especially a prostitute. There's a lot of new language here, isn't there? You must be getting tired. Don't worry. Every cloud has a silver lining. This means that every difficult situation has a good side to it. We say this to encourage people who are having trouble coping with something. We're almost done now. Well, that's a little white lie. There are still several idioms to go. Normally I'm whiter than white and would never tell a lie. I told a white lie just to be polite and to keep you happy. Did you turn as white as a sheet when I said there were more idioms to come? Come on, don't be yellow. To be yellow, to have a yellow streak, or to be yellow-bellied means that you are afraid of something. Colour idioms shouldn't make you yellow. Show your true colours. Show your true colours and everyone will see what you're really like. Nail your colours to the mast and never stop improving your English. In naval battles, your colours were your ship's flags. If you took them down, you surrendered. If you nailed them to the mast so that they could not be taken down, you were saying, You were never going to surrender. Dairy idioms. A dairy is a farm or a shop that makes and sells things produced from milk. Milk normally comes from cows, goats, and sheep. Besides milk, a dairy will also make cream, butter, and cheese. Milk, cream, butter, and cheese are known as dairy products. This video contains all the idioms from the English dairy. I think I've milked the language dry for this video. I certainly can't think of any more idioms that come from dairy products. Anyway, as you're watching this video, it's already been finished. I can't include any idioms that I've missed now, so there's no point in crying over spilt milk, is there? I just hope you won't be cheesed off if I did miss any dairy idioms. I hope you'll continue to show me the milk of human kindness. Remember, in the world of English, Lingua Spectrum truly is the land of milk and honey. I'm serious. Lingua Spectrum really is the cream of the crop when it comes to learning English. That's why my students always look like the cat that got the cream. Anyway, a big thank you for watching this video. I always try to make my videos as interesting as possible. You want quality, and I know which side my bread is buttered. Lingua Spectrum and these videos are my bread and butter. What am I doing trying to butter you up? I should just get on and teach you all the dairy idioms I know. You probably think that I've already milked the language for all it's worth. After all, I have just used 10 dairy idioms. There can't be any more, can there? Well, there are actually 21 dairy idioms that I wanted to include. I intend to milk this subject for all it's worth, and if anyone doesn't like it, it's tough cheese. See, there's another one. I think the best way will be to look at these idioms one by one. Number 1 is to milk something dry. This one's quite self-explanatory, isn't it? When you've taken everything of value from something, you've milked it dry. The human race is going to milk the planet dry. Number 2 is similar to the last one. It's milk something for all it's worth. This one means to take all you can of value from something while you have the chance. Politicians milk the system for all it's worth. Number 3 says there's no point in crying over spilt milk. If you spill your milk, it becomes unusable, no matter what you do to it. If you can't do anything about a mistake you've made, there's no point getting upset about it, is there? I hope number 4 doesn't cheese you off. To cheese someone off is to annoy them. Number 5 is to show the milk of human kindness. Milk nurtures and helps the young grow. By showing the milk of human kindness, you encourage others through your natural kindness and sympathy. Number 6 talks about the land of milk and honey. This one's from Exodus in the Old Testament. A lot of people want to live in England because they think it's the land of milk and honey. Number 7 is the cream of the crop. The cream of the crop is the best there is of something. At the risk of blowing my own trumpet, I'd say that Lingua Spectrum English videos are the cream of the crop. Number 8 is the cat that got the cream. Imagine a cat that's just eaten a pot of thick, delicious cream. Picture that cat's face. You can use this expression to describe anyone who looks very pleased with themselves. Number 9 is to know which side your bread is buttered. This means to know where your interests really lie. If you have an interview with your boss, your wife might say,
"Please don't say anything that will get you fired. We need the money."
To which you can reply,
"Don't worry, love. I know which side my bread's buttered."
Number 10 is bread and butter. Your bread and butter is the source of your income. I'd just like to say thank you for watching this video, dear, kind, intelligent viewer. Lingua Spectrum is my bread and butter, so please, please, please keep watching the videos and visiting the site. What I just did was to use dairy idiom number 11. I tried to butter you up. This means to be especially nice to someone in the hope that they will do something you want them to do. Number 12 is to cut through something like a knife through butter. This idiom talks about things being easily cut. A laser cuts through steel like a knife through butter. Number 13, unlucky for some, is butterfingers. If someone is a butterfingers, it will certainly be unlucky because butterfingers are clumsy and drop things. Number 14 says that butter wouldn't melt in your mouth. This is said about people who appear to be nice and pleasant, yet are really the opposite. That child looks like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, but he's a little horror at school. If you don't like the fact that this is number 15, that's hard cheese. This means bad luck or something you just have to accept. Number 16 talks of people who think the moon is made of green cheese. Such people are gullible and will believe anything, however silly. Number 17 is like chalk and cheese. You use this to describe two people often closely related who are completely different from each other. He doesn't have anything in common with his brother. They're like chalk and cheese. Number 18 is a cheesy grin. A wide, artificial smile given by people having their photo taken after being told to say cheese. Cheesy can also refer to anything that is of poor quality, artificial, or forced. Where did they find that actor? I thought his performance was a bit cheesy. Number 19 is the big cheese. The big cheese is the most important person. As far as this video is concerned, you, the viewer, are the big cheese. You'll hear number 20 if you have your photograph taken. It's say cheese. This is the phrase that photographers use to get people to produce artificial smiles for a photograph. Go to a mirror and say cheese. You'll see what I mean. If you want real smiles for a photograph instead of cheesy grins, you should tell a cheese joke. Here's one. What cheese is made backwards? Edam. Think about it. At last but not least is number 21, tough cheese. This is a synonym for hard cheese. Egg idioms. I thought I'd be a good egg and make a video about food idioms. Then I realized I'd have egg on my face if I tried to put all my eggs in one basket. If I tried to put all the food idioms in English in one video, I would simply over-egg the pudding. You see, if this video is popular, it could be a nice little nest egg for my future. So I had to be a bit of a bad egg and leave out any idiom that was not about eggs. Still, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. Any of your favorite idioms not here will be in a future video. Now look, I've got myself walking on eggshells. I have to tell you that you can't teach your grandmother to suck eggs. So, no matter how much you egg me on, only egg idioms are getting into this cracking video. I didn't want this video to end up as something of a curate's egg. Don't think I'm a rotten egg because I only included egg idioms. If I made poor quality videos, I could end up killing the goose that lays the golden egg. Let's stop for a moment, shall we? How many egg idioms did I just use? Replay the first bit and see if you're not sure. As sure as eggs is eggs, you're bound to have missed one or two. Okay, there are actually a baker's dozen, 13. Here they are in order of appearance. A good egg, having egg on your face, over-egg the pudding, nest egg, bad egg, make an omelette without breaking eggs, walking on eggshells. You can't teach your grandmother to suck eggs. Egg someone on. A curate's egg. A rotten egg. Kill the goose that lays the golden egg. As sure as eggs is eggs. You can guess the meaning from the context in some cases. But I'll be a good egg and tell you what they all mean in detail. You can see examples in the box at the top. A good egg, a bad egg, and a rotten egg refer to people, and the meaning is clear. If you're embarrassed, you have egg on your face. To try to put too much into something and spoil it is to over-egg the pudding. A nest egg is some funds put away for the future. You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs means that sometimes you have to break something to get something more worthwhile. If you're trying to be very diplomatic, you are walking on eggshells. If you want to tell someone to do something when they know better than you how to do it, you're trying to teach your grandmother to suck eggs. To egg someone on means to encourage them to do something unwise. A curate's egg is something that has a mix of good and bad points. When you kill the goose that lays the golden egg, you destroy that which is profitable to you. When something is absolutely certain, the British say, as sure as eggs is eggs. eye, eye, eyebrow, eyebrow, eyelashes, eyelashes, eyelids, eyelids, pupil, pupil, iris, iris, if any harm follows, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. An eye for an eye. This means that if someone hurts you, you should hurt them in the same way. An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Blind, unable to see. Your eyes are bigger than your belly. Belly, belly. Your eyes are bigger than your belly means that you could not eat all the food you tried to eat. My teacher's got eyes in the back of her head. It's not meant literally. People have eyes in the front of their heads, not the back. It means that she knows what's happening behind her, even when she's not looking. The naked eye. Naked. Naked means to be wearing nothing. Do eyes wear things? Yes, they do. Eyes wear glasses. Glasses. Eyes wear sunglasses. Sunglasses. Eyes wear binoculars. Binoculars. Telescopes. Telescopes. Microscopes. Microscopes. Microscopes let us see things that are invisible to the naked eye. Invisible. I'm so busy. I'm up to my eyes in work. Up to my eyes. Up to my eyes means to be very busy doing something. He's up to his eyes in important phone calls. They're up to their eyes in patience. I think he's giving me the eye. I think she's making eyes at me. Making eyes at someone and giving someone the eye mean looking at someone in a way that tells them you find them sexually attractive. You know I only have eyes for you. Only have eyes for someone means that you are in love and only interested in one person. And when you're in love, you can't take your eyes off someone. Can't take your eyes off means that you're always looking. A photographer needs an eye for detail. Detail. A hunter needs to be eagle-eyed. Eagle-eyed. Eagle-eyed and an eye for detail both describe good eyesight. Cross-eyed. Cross-eyed. An eyeful. To see something interesting or shocking. Eyeful. Is your wife having an affair with her personal trainer? I don't know. I have hired a private eye to watch her. But he's an idiot. My sharp-eyed wife saw him following them. What a sight for sore eyes. A sight for sore eyes. In British English, a sight for sore eyes means someone or something that is unattractive or strange to look at, like this private eye. In American English, a sight for sore eyes means someone or something that you're very happy to see. This is the director's blue-eyed boy. But his eyes aren't blue? Blue-eyed boy, the male in a group who is favored by those in authority. This land is mine as far as the eye can see. As far as the eye can see is used to describe large areas. It was winter and there was snow as far as the eye could see.
Fruit idioms. Not all my videos have been successful. Some of them have been real lemons, and hardly anyone's watched them. I wish all my videos could have 1 million views. But this is no place for sour grapes. At least I can always have another bite of the cherry. I've worked hard on this video and I'm sure it's a real peach.
If a tree is known by its fruit, then you'll be aware that I'm passionate about English. With these videos, my passion has begun to bear fruit. To be honest, none of my work has borne more fruit than this video. It's absolutely packed with fruit idioms. Sometimes making these videos drives me bananas. This one's the apple of my eye, though. It's the ultimate fruit of my labours. Now, I was going to tell a really funny joke about Adam and Eve. But then I thought I might offend people and upset the apple cart. It's tempting, but religious subjects are forbidden fruit. As I don't want to be a rotten apple, I won't tell it here. You'll find the joke on my website in the video extras. Sorry, I was just thinking about the joke. It's very funny. It would have given me a chance to mention the Adam's apple. It's this big thing on the front of a man's throat. Never mind, I'll leave that one out. Life's still just a bowl of cherries, isn't it? So many idioms. How are you going to remember them all? I'll give you a hand. I'll take you through each one in detail. If something's a lemon, it's defective and unsatisfactory. The first motorcycle I ever bought was a real lemon. It stopped running at the slightest hint of rain. Aesop gave us sour grapes in his fable, The Fox and the Grapes. In this fable, a fox is trying to get some juicy grapes just out of his reach. When he fails to get them, he says, "I'm sure they're sour anyway." Sour grapes means to despise what you cannot have. A second, or another bite of the cherry, means to get a second chance. I failed my exam, but the teacher gave me another bite of the cherry. We can say that something or someone is a real peach. A real peach is something or someone wonderful. She's a real peach, isn't she? To say that a tree is known by its fruit is borrowed from the Bible. It means that what you do, your deeds, are more an indication of who you are than anything else. We can identify an apple tree by the apples we get from it. We can identify a thief by the thefts he commits. We can identify a good person by the good things they do. To say that something is bearing fruit means that finally you're getting a reward for your efforts. all his efforts finally began to bear fruit. If we're driven bananas, things are making us go mad. The apple of your eye is the thing or person most cherished above all others. Rothio is the apple of my eye. Whatever I produce is the fruit of my labours. This video is the fruit of my labours. Where are the fruits of your labours? I didn't tell that very funny joke about Adam and Eve because I didn't want to upset the apple cart. To upset the apple cart means to ruin something. Eve really upset the apple cart when she ate fruit from the tree of knowledge. That was the forbidden fruit. Things we really want but are not allowed to have are called forbidden fruit. Now the serpent who told Eve to eat the forbidden fruit really was a rotten apple. It only takes one rotten apple to ruin the barrel. A rotten apple is the one bad person who can spoil everything for everyone else. There's always one rotten apple to spoil it for the rest of us. Before they were cast from the Garden of Eden, life for Adam and Eve was just a bowl of cherries. When everything is going well and life is carefree, we say that life's just a bowl of cherries. Now that you've got all these new idioms, life really is just a bowl of cherries, isn't it? That's all the idioms. Now I can go and sit in the sun for a while and get as brown as a berry. Damn, there's another idiom. I'm going to go bananas at this rate. Oh, another. Brown as a berry idiom comes from Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Talking of the monk's horse, palfrey, Chaucer writes, "His palfrey was as brown as is a berry." This is saying that his horse was very dark, like a blackberry. Blackberries aren't actually black. They're a deep reddish brown. Finally, before I go bananas, I'll tell you that to go bananas means to go mad, crazy, or insane. Heart. An English lesson looking at some expressions using the word heart. Your heart is in your chest. At least it is in most people. Muscles. Bones. Internal organs. Heart. There are some people who haven't got hearts. She has no heart. She's a cold, heartless killer. These are people who are not concerned about the happiness of others. They are cruel and feel no pity. Stabbed in the back. Luckily, most people do have their heart in the right place. He's not a very efficient boss, but his heart's in the right place. This means that the person is kind. My piano teacher made me play the piece until I knew it by heart. Know it by heart. Memorize something completely. She only had my best interests at heart, but it was still hard work. When someone has your best interests at heart, it means that they are concerned about your welfare and success. Love. When you're in love, strange things can happen to your heart. Your heart can melt. Your heart can break. Your heart can ache. Your heart can sink. Her heart melted when he looked at her. Means that she was affected emotionally by his look, and she was unable to control her feelings. You could also say that he had won a special place in her heart, or that he had captured her heart. Unfortunately, romance and love don't always last. This is especially true if you can't have a heart-to-heart with each other to sort out your differences. A heart-to-heart is a deep, emotional conversation where each tells the other honestly how they feel. The way she looked at him made his heart sink. She poured her heart out to him, but he refused to listen. She was broken-hearted, heartbroken. She had an aching heart, heartache, meaning she had great sadness. She was very sad and unhappy. He was just another lonely heart looking for romance and someone to love. He's a man after my own heart. Doesn't mean that he actually wants to have my heart in his hands. It means that he shares the same ideas and beliefs as me. One subject that is very close to my heart is spaceflight. Close to my heart means that it is very important to me. I try to help the environment out of the goodness of my heart. Means that I do it because I feel strongly about it, not because I've been asked to or want a reward. They have hearts of gold. They used their lottery win to buy a new scanner for the local hospital. Patients and staff thanked them from the bottom of their hearts. Sincerely and passionately. People are always telling me that I wear my heart on my sleeve, but I always feel it's best to show my true feelings openly about everything. When the Hindenburg crashed, the sight struck terror into the hearts of all who witnessed it. Many witnesses just sat there and cried their hearts out. My heart sank as I watched. I don't have the heart to throw food away, not when there are people starving in the world. So I always eat it myself. My heart was in my mouth when I asked the boss for a pay rise. When he refused, I left the office with a heavy heart. I had set my heart on getting that pay rise. I was sick at heart to hear that the boss's blue-eyed boy had got his pay rise. Maybe it's time I changed jobs. My heart's just not in this one anymore. My heart goes out to those poor people who lost everything in that flood. This heart-rending picture really tugs at my heartstrings. Today, the press heartily encourage people to find it in their hearts to donate to disaster funds. I almost lost heart in my art after years of getting nowhere, but now my paintings are beginning to get noticed. I think it's because I've started to paint straight from the heart. Since I started putting heart and soul into my work, I've sold 7 pictures. Vincent, eat your heart out. Every time the gallery phones, my heart misses a beat. It's very heartening when people recognize your talent. Seafood idioms. The sea covers 2/3 of our planet. The sea has always been an important source of food. Any food that we take from the sea is called seafood. There are various types of seafood. The main type of seafood is fish. Fish have gills which let them absorb oxygen from the water. They use fins to move through the water. Fish include the bony fish like cod and haddock. These are the most popular fish in Britain. I went off them when I got a bone stuck in my throat once. It hurt a lot and I had to go to hospital. I was looking a bit blue around the gills, I can tell you. Cartilaginous fish, like shark, don't have bones. They're probably safer to eat than the bony fish. Unfortunately, 70 million sharks are killed each year only for their fins. Their fins are prized as a delicacy. They're used to make shark fin soup. Shark fin soup is so expensive that you'd probably have to borrow money just to taste it. If your bank refuses to lend you the money, you could always borrow money from a loan shark. But remember, loan sharks charge very high rates of interest. Up to 100 million sharks are killed for their fins every year. Some are lone sharks, some swim in huge groups. But they all die needlessly to feed a multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry. Some shark species are in danger of extinction because of this expensive soup. What a fine kettle of fish it is that allows people to kill an animal to just use a tiny part of it. Sharks sometimes get their own back by eating swimmers. Sharks are one of the few things we eat that can also eat us. Holy mackerel! Imagine if chickens could eat us. By the way, swimmers who get eaten by sharks are not seafood. The second most important seafood after fish is shellfish. Shellfish are animals that live inside shells. Shellfish includes mollusks such as mussels, cockles, and clams. Crustaceans such as lobsters and crabs are also seafood. Smaller crustaceans include shrimps and prawns. Sea urchins and sea cucumbers are also eaten. Yuck! Octopus, squid, cuttlefish, and other cephalopod mollusks are seafood too. Perhaps not traditionally classed as seafood, turtles are also a source of food. They come from the sea, so I'm going to include them here. I'm also going to include whales. Whales are a marine mammal, and they're still eaten in some parts of the world. Some people must have huge appetites. A seafood diet is when you eat a high proportion of food from the sea. It's not when you have a huge appetite and eat any food that you see. That's called a seafood diet. People who have a seafood diet end up looking like a beached whale. It might seem like I've just thrown you a red herring, but it's just a play on words. The homophones C and C both have the same sound. A similar play on words can be found in the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll invented a character called the Mock Turtle. Mock turtle soup was a cheaper soup made to imitate real turtle soup. Turtle soup is an expensive soup made from real green turtles. Carroll's joke was to suggest that mock turtle soup was made from mock turtles.
When we were little,
The mock turtle went on at last, more calmly, though still sobbing a little now and then.
we went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise.
Why did you call him Tortoise if he wasn't one?
Alice asked.
We called him Tortoise because he taught us,
Said the mock turtle. Alice often fell for things like that. Whatever story she heard, no matter how odd, she would swallow it hook, line, and sinker. People who swallow things hook, line, and sinker are easily tricked into believing things to be true. We catch fish on hooks tied to fishing lines. The fishing lines have weights on them to sink the hook and the bait into the water. A hungry fish will swallow the bait, the hook, the line, and the weight. I think this explains the idiom very well, doesn't it? I'm not fishing for compliments, you understand. I just like to cast my net wide to catch as many new idioms as I can. That idiom is also to do with fishing. Nets are what fishermen use to catch lots of fish at once. Imagine being a poor fish that's just been caught on a hook and line. What a relief it would be to escape, no? That's where the idiom, let you off the hook, comes from. Maybe one day your future success will depend on passing an exam. That's a difficult situation to be in. If there were questions about these idioms, Knowing them could just get you off the hook. I hope that no idioms have slipped through the net. That's why I'm including as many as I can think of. If your level of English is very high, the world is your oyster. Or maybe your level is not so high. Maybe you feel like a fish out of water. Don't panic. I'm not about to clam up until I've given you all the idioms I know. And I promise you'll have a whale of a time learning them. I'm having a whale of a time teaching them. I'm certainly not a cold fish when it comes to teaching. Neither will you find me crabby. I love teaching, and if some students don't like my methods, I don't worry too much. There are plenty more fish in the sea. That's what people often say when they finish a relationship. They console themselves with the thought that there are plenty more fish in the sea. But there won't be if we keep fishing the fish out of the sea as fast as we do. I know people need to eat, but we also need to protect the oceans. There are too many people, and the population is growing too quickly. When I was born, there were already 3 billion human mouths to feed. Nearly 50 years later, we are packed in like sardines. There are now over twice as many mouths to feed. Fish stocks are likely to cockle over soon, if they haven't already. But do the politicians and businessmen listen? Certainly not to the small fry like me, they don't. Politicians are as slippery as eels and have got much bigger fish to fry. And businessmen are only interested in profit. The oceans offer a limitless supply of food, they tell us. Well, that sounds a bit fishy to me. Unless there are twice as many fish as there were in 1961, we'll soon run out. People cling like limpets to the same silly ideas about sustainability. A seafood diet? If we continue to overfish the oceans, we'll be lucky to see food ever again. vegetable idioms. Today is your lucky day. Today I'm going to spill the beans about vegetable idioms. When we spill the beans, we tell everything. I wasn't going to make another video so soon. After my last video, I just felt like vegging out on the sofa. When we veg out, we behave like vegetables. Vegetables don't really do much, do they? They're very relaxed, vegetables. Luckily for you, I'm full of beans. When we're full of beans, we're excited about something. Were I not, I might have turned into a couch potato. Couch potatoes are fat and lazy. They spend all day slumped in front of the television. Not me at all, really. I don't watch television. But I do like to relax as much as anyone else. I'm sure you do too. But sometimes we have to work. If we don't work, we don't earn money. If we don't earn money, we end up without a bean. Not having a bean means not having any money. Motivation is the key in work. Bosses can motivate their staff to work. They sometimes use the carrot and stick approach. If you get this job finished, you can have the rest of the week off. If you don't get this job finished, you'll have to work at the weekend. To get a donkey to move, you can offer it a carrot. But it still might not move. You might have to threaten it with a stick instead. That's what we mean by the carrot and stick approach. Offer a nice incentive to avoid a less pleasant consequence. I like making these videos so much that for me it's all carrot and no stick. Of course, when you're teaching English, it helps to know your onions. To To know your onions means to know what you're talking about. If I didn't know my onions, I'd be in a bit of a pickle. Pickles are made from vegetables. Pickles are a mix of vegetables, vinegar and spices. People in a pickle are in a similar state as the vegetables in the pickle. That is, they're all mixed up and confused. I was in a bit of a pickle when it came to some of the vegetables to include here. It was a bit of a hot potato deciding whether to include beans. Hot potatoes straight from the oven are not easily held in the hand. We have to toss them from hand to hand until they're cool enough to hold. A problem that is difficult to deal with is a hot potato. This hot potato was, are beans really vegetables? Well, they're actually legumes. Legumes are plants that have their seeds in pods. Peas are legumes too, but most people would call them vegetables. So I think it's alright to include beans in this video. Beans and peas come from pods. One bean is much the same as any other bean. Two peas from the same pod are almost identical. That's why we say that people who are very similar are like two peas in a pod. If someone tells me different, I might be embarrassed. When I'm embarrassed, I blush. I blush so much that I go as red as a beetroot. Meat idioms. Let's first meet the meat. Unless you're a vegetarian, you eat meat. The meat we eat is of two types, red meat and white meat. Red meat comes from mammals. White meat comes from birds. 3 mammals provide us with most of our red meat. Cows, pigs, and sheep. The meat from a cow is called beef. The meat from a pig is called pork, ham, or bacon. The meat from a sheep is called lamb or mutton. Lamb is the meat from a young sheep. Mutton is the meat from an old sheep. Two birds provide us with most of our white meat. Chickens and turkeys. Unlike red meat, white meat keeps the name of the animal from which it comes. The meat from a chicken is called chicken. The meat from a turkey is called turkey. The meat from a duck is called duck. Duck, goose, pheasant, grouse, partridge and quail are also eaten. These birds are called game birds. Chicken and turkey are called poultry. All birds that we eat can be called fowl. Now you have all the technical details you need to enjoy this video. Some people like technical details. Some people don't. Another way of saying this is, one man's meat is another man's poison. Don't chicken out of learning the technical stuff. If you learn the technical stuff, you'll master these idioms like a duck to water. I think that the best way for me to present these idioms is in groups. I'll start with meat in general. The stereotypical meal in Britain is meat and 2 veg. But beware. Meat and 2 veg is also the slang term for a man's penis and testicles. Ooh, shock, horror. Come on. Such language is the meat and potatoes of learning English. So you can't beef about me including it here. Such rich vocabulary will really beef up your English. But if you do have a beef with it, just add it to the comments. You never know, one day such knowledge could save your bacon. I'm just happy that teaching you these idioms can help me bring home the bacon. I just hope I'm not being too ham-fisted with my explanations. And if I sometimes ham it up, I only do so to make the language memorable. Okay, that's it for cows and pigs. Don't sheepishly follow me on to sheep. Be determined and fearless in your English studies. You might make mistakes as you learn, but what does it matter? You might as well be hung for a sheep as a lamb. So experiment with the language. If you're going to get embarrassed by little mistakes, you might as well make big ones too. We'll have these idioms mastered in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Have you ever seen an aggressive lamb? Probably not. That's why we have the expression, as gentle as a lamb. This describes sweet, innocent, mild-mannered people. Innocent is probably not an adjective I'd choose. For someone who looks like mutton dressed as lamb. We use this expression to describe a woman who tries to look much younger. As I said earlier, mutton is from old sheep. It's usually tough and needs a lot of cooking. Lamb is from young sheep and is very tender. So you can see why we use the expression mutton dressed as lamb. If you're no spring chicken, don't try to pretend that you are. Grow old gracefully. There's no point running around like a headless chicken, trying to stop time. We all grow old, and all the plastic surgeons in the world can't save us. And anyway, plastic surgery isn't exactly chicken feed, is it? It's very expensive. Still, people who have plastic surgery are definitely not chicken-hearted. You wouldn't get me going under the knife. It looks very painful. I'd chicken out before we got to the operating theatre. I'd squeal like a stuck pig if I felt the slightest pain. Ow! I'd also be afraid that the surgeon would make a pig's ear of things. Not that you can make a silk purse from a sow's ear. Getting a nose job or a chin tuck is a bit like buying a pig in a poke. You never know what you're going to get until it's too late. Still, those who have plastic surgery know that one day their chickens will come home to roost. They often look more ridiculous the older they get. People who are addicted to plastic surgery need to go cold turkey. Most people won't talk turkey about this subject. I've probably put the cat among the pigeons with my comments. I'll probably get lots of comments saying I shouldn't grouse about things. But such comments will be like water off a duck's back. What do I care? When you put these videos in the public domain, you make yourself a sitting duck. I'm hardly a lame duck, am I? And if this video gets just one view, at least it won't be out for a duck. I won't count my chickens before they're hatched. But I think this video will be quite successful. I hope you found it interesting and useful. Now do the extras to really beef up your understanding of these idioms. I'll be back with my next video in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. So we'll meet again.